I slammed the truck door so hard the side mirror shook, kicking up dust under my boots as I glared at the shiny steel gate blocking my driveway. A heavy chain with a triple lock system held it shut like a fortress. This wasn't a military base. It was my land, my home. Yet there she stood, Melissa Hardrove, president of the Homeowners Association, clipboard in hand, her smirk wide enough to rival the gate itself. I just rolled back from an off-road rally in Nevada. Barely home 10 minutes, and my blood was already boiling. She pointed to a laminated sign on the gate. Private HOA access only. The same road I'd paved with my own cash a decade ago. A road that led to my house, my garage, and, most importantly, Titan, my custom-built monster truck. Melissa waved like she was at a Sunday picnic, not staging a hostile land grab. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just HOA nonsense, this was war. I stood there trying to process the madness. While I was out crushing cars and signing posters in the desert, the HOA had held a snap vote to install this gate across an access road what I alone had deed rights to. Locked out of my own property, I faced Melissa's smug confidence. Her clipboard felt like a weapon of bureaucratic tyranny. When I demanded answers, she tapped her papers and cited Article 6, Section 3, something about an unsightly industrial vehicle visible from the road. She meant Titan, a beast with tires taller than her SUV, a paint job that screamed defiance. I had built that truck from the ground up, every bolt a testament to my sweat and pride. But Melissa despised it. She whined it tanked property values, that it disturbed her precious community tranquility. I tried to reason with her, showed her my deed, my surveyor's map, everything proving the road was mine. She scoffed. "Touch the gate," she warned, "and I'll fine you for trespassing." Then she had the audacity to call it a beautification project. Her voice dripped with the arrogance of someone who thought she was untouchable. And in HOA politics, she probably was. I drove down to the gas station just to get cell service and called the county assessor. They confirmed what I already knew. Melissa and her HOA had no legal claim over my road or land, but the legal route would take weeks, maybe months. And until then, I was locked out. I tried the sheriff, no help there. Just an incident report and the advice to resolve it civilly. I booked a motel, sat on a lumpy mattress, and stared at the ceiling. How had things spiraled this far? This fast? Melissa had always been a nuisance, nitpicking over mailbox colors, grass height, even once trying to make me repaint my shed to match her palette. But now she had locked me out of my home. A neighbor sent me screenshots of the HOA group chat. Melissa was gloating, calling me a grease-stained gearhead who thought his circus truck made him king. She ended her message with 2 words: not anymore. The next day I returned, still holding on to a shred of hope that someone on the HOA board had a brain. No such luck. Melissa was right there, lounging by the gate in a lawn chair like it was a resort, sipping iced tea, sunglasses on, and that same smug smile plastered across her face. I asked, "How long is this circus going to last?" She replied sweetly, "Until the neighborhood's dignity is restored." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the absurdity of it all was choking me. Beside her sat Greg, the HOA's self-proclaimed enforcer, a guy who once fined someone for putting gravel on their own property. I showed them my deed again. Melissa waved it off and said, "Our legal team will review it." Legal team? Their HOA budget could barely keep the streetlights working. She was bluffing, hoping I'd fold. I didn't. I called Jake, an old Army buddy turned land use lawyer. I sent him every photo, document, and HOA message I had. Jake called back within the hour, his voice sharp and furious. "This isn't just illegal," he said. "That gate is built on fraudulent easement claims, stamped with the HOA's logo. We've got them." Jake began drafting the county complaint. But the process would still take time. Meanwhile, I was still sleeping in a motel, locked out of my own house. That night, I drove out to my storage unit, flipped on the lights, and there she was. Titan, glorious, untamed. 4 wheels of rebellion. As I stared at her, an idea sparked. If Melissa thought a chain could stop me, she clearly didn't understand physics or Titan's torque, but I didn't act recklessly. I spent the next few days setting trail cameras. Footage came in. HOA workers were caught trespassing on my land, dumping soil on my driveway, planting shrubs. A neighbor's camera even caught one of them say, "Melissa wants this green for her picnic." Jake called it gold evidence. While he filed the complaint, I got to work. I prepped Titan, new shocks, fresh oil, perfect tire pressure. This wasn't about destruction. This was about standing up to arrogance. Melissa thought I was just a loner with a loud truck. She had no idea I'd survive worse in deserts and war zones. And this was my backyard. She had started something she couldn't finish. 2 days later, I sat inside the county clerk's office, Jake on speaker. We had the plat map blown up, showing, clear as day, the road was mine. But I was still locked out, still playing by Melissa's fantasy rules. Meanwhile, she was basking in the spotlight. A news van showed up, and there she was, in a blazer, speaking about community elegance and non-compliant structures. I parked down the hill, heart pounding, and I walked straight into the camera frame, holding my deed in one hand. "This road," I said, "was built by me, paid for by me. That gate is illegal. If you want your HOA tidy, keep it on your own land." The clip exploded online. Views, comments, support from people across the country. Melissa wasn't prepared for the backlash, but she retaliated. 3 envelopes appeared on my motel door. $3,500 in HOA fines, violations for aesthetic obstruction, parking agricultural machinery on unapproved terrain. She meant Titan. It was all nonsense, just noise to wear me down. Instead, I bought a printer, printed cease and desist letters, built a wall of evidence in my motel room, maps, emails, screenshots. A neighbor named Tim slipped me a flash drive. More footage, more proof. Melissa had gone too far, and I was done playing nice. Titan wasn't just a truck anymore. She was a warning. Saturday dawned like a showdown. I barely slept the night before. My mind was racing. At 5 a.m., I opened the storage unit. Titan gleamed under the lights, a steel beast humming with power. I fired her up. The engine roared, the ground trembled. Cameras, check. Loudspeaker, check. LED sign, glowing. Private property enforcement unit. She was ready. By 7 a.m., I rolled toward the hill, and there it was. Melissa had doubled down. 2 steel beams reinforced the gate, 3 new padlocks. She stood there, latte in hand, khakis crisp, smug as ever. Greg stood beside her, sunglasses on, community security badge gleaming, like he was ready for war. I let Titan rumble. Over the speaker, I spoke. "This is private property. This gate is illegal. You have 60 seconds to clear the area." Silence. Melissa blinked. Greg puffed up. Neighbors gathered, cameras rolling like it was pay-per-view. Melissa grabbed a megaphone. "You're trespassing on HOA land. This is your final warning." I gave them 30 more seconds. Greg stepped in front of Titan. I revved the engine once, a thunderous growl. Greg jumped back. The crowd laughed. Melissa radioed for backup. There was none. I shifted into gear. Titan surged forward. Clang! The gate groaned. One padlock flew through the air. Another snapped and sparked. Titan crushed the steel like it was cardboard. The bushes Melissa had planted? Gone. She screamed. Maybe curses. Maybe HOA bylaws. The crowd roared. Phones were filming. I hit Titan's horn. A long, victorious blast. I stepped out. Handed Melissa a thick packet. "County findings. The sheriff's on the way. You might want to wait here." I drove Titan up my driveway, reclaiming every inch of my land. Minutes later, the sheriff and Inspector Clara arrived. Clara took one look at the ruined gate and grinned. Melissa stammered. Her gestures screamed panic. Clara just nodded. "They crossed more than a line," she said. That night, Jake posted the video. HOA locked me out. My monster truck had other plans. It hit 500,000 views in one day. National news picked it up. Melissa cried vandalism on camera. But the paperwork? It buried her. A neighbor put up a handmade sign. Melissa's gate, crushed by Titan. R.I.P. I laughed. The first real laugh in weeks. By Monday, that gate wreckage was a local landmark. People came to take selfies. Melissa's blinds stayed shut. Her car never moved. Clara's report nailed the HOA with zoning violations. Jake filed for damages. But Melissa wasn't done. She sent a sneaky email, something about a restoration plan with buffering foliage. Pink survey flags showed up on my land. I yanked them up, taped them to her mailbox with a sticky note. Wrong property. I planned a barbecue, legal and loud. Titan was the guest of honor. I got permits, invited everyone, even Melissa's allies. The sheriff came. Kids brought bikes. Neighbors brought lawn chairs and brisket. I drove Titan in a slow, triumphant circle around my land. Flag waving, sign glowing, private property, public spirit. The crowd cheered. Kids chanted, "Titan, Titan." I saw Melissa's blinds twitch. The sheriff handed her a citation for HOA fund misuse. That night, a neighbor came up and said, "And you made this a community again." It wasn't just my win, it was everyone's. Melissa tried one last time. She parked her SUV across my driveway. I nudged it with Titan's bumper. Loudspeaker blaring, "Move or I call the sheriff." She moved. That same week, the HOA ousted her. A new president, Sarah, apologized, voided my fines, invited me to the next town hall. I went, didn't speak. Melissa's house went up for sale. She was fleeing to another gated community. I watched her pack. Our eyes met. Hers were full of defeat. She'd lost her power, her fear, her control. That night, I sat beside Titan. Air still, quiet, my land, my rules. No flags, no gates. Just peace. Melissa might try something again someday. People like her usually do, but this neighborhood had seen the truth, and they'd resist. I smiled, knuckles cracking. This wasn't just a victory, it was a warning. If Melissa thought this was over, she didn't know how many gears I had left. And that's how one man and his monster truck took on the HOA and won. Got a crazy neighborhood story of your own? Drop it in the comments. We might feature it next. And hey, if you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next battle between cuss and karma. Because around here, justice comes with horsepower.